Woohoo! We are live. This is Math 60 Intermediate Algebra. We are in section 3.6, and we are doing all of the word problems because that's just how we have fun. Number 6 is a geometry problem. How do I know that? Well, partly because I wrote it, and partly because I read it. And it says a farmer wants to divide up her square field. Ooh, square field. Oh, this is a terrible square. Okay, let me show you because I need use of this. So first off, you can write square, and that gets you pretty far in math. And then the magic words are not to scale, which means I know I've drawn a terrible drawing, but this is just a sketch. Okay, so I've got a square field, and we want to divide up her square field into 3 sections for her cows, her goats, and her chickens. Okay, what are the dimensions of her field if she'll need 120 meters of fence to complete her project? So the first thing to keep in mind is if it's square, then this side, which I'm going to call S, either for side or square, has the same length as this side, which I will also refer to as S. Hopefully that makes sense. All the sides have the same length. So the first question of how do I divide up her square field into 3 sections, I'm going to put fence across it. And what I'm realizing is as I'm reading this, I should have been more clear. I should have said using 2 lengths of fence that are parallel to one of the sides, like that. So there are cows, there are goats, and there are chickens. So we've got a square field. We've got 3 sections, and we want to know if she knows that she's going to need 120 meters of fence. How do we figure out what's actually going on? Now, the elephant or goat in the room, if you would, is that this is a totally bizarre problem. Really, that a farmer would know how much fence it's going to take, but she doesn't know how big her field is. That's really weird. So I agree. This is just a bizarre problem. And the difficulty is that writing problems in math that teach you the techniques we'd like to teach you, it's a little bit tricksy. So, this was my attempt to make a reasonable type problem without having someone buy 400 rutabagas. So let's go through, and I'm gonna draw another smaller version of this for myself, where instead of writing everything else, I'm gonna label the dimensions. So this is S, this is S, this is S, this is S. How long is this? You got it. That's S as well. How long is this one? That's S as well. So if I put fences, oops, don't want to leave that open, the cows will get out. If I put fences all the places where I've got black lines, how many S's do I have? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside and 2 on the inside. That's 6. So the total fence or fencing required. Ooh, would that not be cool if you could teach goats and cows to fence? Like, with like on guard. That would be so cool. I would go to watch that. Okay, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 S. And she'll need 120 meters of fence total. So the 6S must be equal to 120. That's awesome, because that's a single equation, which I know how to solve. I divide both sides by 6, and I get S equals 20, and I have to remind myself, okay, this is meters, And it says, what are the dimensions of her field? Now, it is not enough to say 20 is S. When someone asks you for dimensions, generally speaking, you give them in this way. And I have this bad habit of putting my work in the middle, so I don't have much room, but I'm going to say dimensions of the field. And then you would usually either give the length and then the width, or the width and then the length. So in this case, I'm going to say 20 meters by, you pronounce this by 20 meters. And that'll be my answer. So it's not enough to just give S. When it says what are the dimensions, you have to list both, even if it's a square. Okay, woohoo, not too bad. This was the preliminary problem to the next problem. Should we do the next problem? Yay! That same farmer realizes that, oh my goodness, she mismeasured her field. And it's not actually a square. That could happen. I could totally imagine that. In fact, the width is twice as long as the length. So she was really not paying attention when she thought it was a square, because in fact, it's much longer on one side. So the width is twice as long as the length. Okay, and I'm going to write width is twice as long as the length. That's an important. Anytime you get these sentences that sound like translation problems, you want to write them out so you can actually translate them. And in the time it took her to measure the field, all of her chickens flew away. This is a very sad story. So the chickens are gone. They're off living their best lives, probably starring in a Julia Roberts movie, you know, about finding themselves. So if she decides to divide up the field into 2 equal sections, with the dividing fence running parallel to the longer side of the field. Oh my gosh, this is instructions. Look at this. If she decides to divide up the field into 2 equal sections, so this could be these 2 or it could be these 2, with the dividing fence running parallel to the longer side of the field, that means we're doing the fence this way. Not necessarily the way I would have done it. I probably would have put it this way. This is long, but maybe she knows more about goats and cows than I do. What are the dimensions of the field? So she still has her cows and she still has her goats. And these 2 are equal. So this should go right in the middle. So the question is, what are the dimensions of the field? And what you have to know is from the previous problem, we know the total amount of fencing, I'm going to remind you, was, well, no, I've forgotten, so let's look again. 120 meters, 120 meters. Okay, I've got to admit something. Right now, while I'm recording this, it's just before lunchtime, and my partner is cooking something that smells so good. It's got like garlic and lemon and some other stuff, and I'm kind of losing my mind. So I'm going to try to stay focused on this, but if you start seeing drool like dripping onto the paper, I apologize, but oh my gosh, it smells so much good, so good here. I wish you guys were here. I don't know if we'd have enough for everyone, but you know, everyone could be here and enjoy the just amazing smells. Okay. Wow. So I've got a lot of things going on. And what I think I would like to do first off is get some variables, because writing out length and width a bunch of times is not my favorite thing. So I think what I'm going to do is right up here, I'm going to say let W equal the width, and let L, and I'm going to do a kind of a script L so that it doesn't look like a 1, equals the length. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. Get myself some letters. You could use X and Y. You can use alpha and beta. You can use any letters you want. Just not E, not I, not O. Okay, skip those vowels. Okay, I'm going to do the translation problem now. The width, W, is equals, you got it, twice as long as the length. Twice is 2 times as long as the length, 2L. Oh my gosh, look at math. Isn't this beautiful and just very succinct and just really clear? And this is just a lot of words. Beautiful, a lot of words. Okay. So I've got the width is equal to twice the length. Do you guys agree? Width is twice as long as the length. The width is the long one. So I'm going to draw another picture like I did before. And this time I'm not going to put all the words in it. I'm just going to put my letters in. So this is the length. Now this is the width, which I now know is 2L. So this is W, which equals 2L. And then I have one long fence. Now, how long is this long fence right there? You're right. It's another W, which is 2L. So all the fencing is going to be, and here I'm going to have to keep track of this. I've got 2 of these short sides, so an L and another L. And then I've got 3 of these longer ones, 2L, 2L, 2L. So how many L's altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we get 8L. What do you guys think? 8L? Woohoo. So let's see. We've got 8L equals 120 meters. Okay. Well, there you go, right? Divide both sides by 8. And if you probably are looking at this going, wait a minute, why is this not harder? And I'll say, well, I did something sneaky. I did do something sneaky, and I'm about to show it to you. So, but let's finish this. L, the length is 15 meters. And so that means the width up here is 2 times L, which is 30 meters. So the dimensions are length is 15 meters by 30 meters. Those are the dimensions. And then I would also include this so that you're more clear, because sometimes people want length first, sometimes they want width. But these are the dimensions, 15 by 30, or 15 meters length and 30 meters width. So now the whole title of this section is that we are solving word problems using systems of equations. But I only had one equation. Well, here's the thing. There's my other equation. Notice that using the drawing, I went ahead and I just plugged in the conversion. So I used substitution in a really sneaky, not obvious way. So, as you might have guessed, I have also prepared a version of this where I do it in a more traditional sense. So what I did was, notice me saying, this is not to scale. I love not to scale. And notice I've got the width is twice as long as the length, so that's there. And what I did here was a slightly different take. So let's look at this and see what the heck is going on. So I left this as width for W, or W for width, and I left this as L. So my 120 meters of fence is equal to 2 L's, right? 2 L's plus width, 3 W's. So this is a different way to do it. I didn't do substitution in the picture. So now I've got an equation, 2L plus 3W equals 120, and W equals 2L. And so what do I do with that? I use substitution, plug in the 2L where the W was. So now when I just did it before, I actually substituted into the picture, so we never even had to see the substitution in equation form. But this is what it would look like. Oops, sorry. This is what it would look like if I did write it out as equation. So you can also follow along this way. So you can compare and contrast the two ways of approaching this problem. And you can always, let me see, get it straighter. You can always take a screenshot and then look at it later, or check out the notes. These will both be in the notes. In both cases, the length, 15 meters, the width is 30 meters. So we get the same answer, slightly different approaches. Okay, you guys are amazing. We have 1.5 more problems. I'm so excited for you. You guys are awesome. You've made it almost all the way through this. Oh boy, we're almost there. Woohoo! And I get to have an amazing lunch now. Nom, 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 nom. Okay, you guys, hopefully you're all going out and having amazing lunches too. And I will see you in the next video. Math on, guys. Math on.